I was hoping, and I told David this after he came to know God and have a personal relationship with him too, was, man, I was the biggest chicken you'd ever known in your life because I was hoping that you would say something first. I was relying on my 12-year-old to say something first because I was so scared to trust God. Because in my mind, God had hurt me so bad.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He allowed things to unfold the way they did so that way I could be the person I am right now. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks ago, I didn't understand that. So, and I was like, maybe if he does, then maybe I can put my toe in the water, like you were saying. Let me just try it out. Nah, didn't happen. He kept getting further and further away from it, and it was, we were making breakfast. I was making breakfast like I used to do when I come home because I like breakfast. And I was cooking eggs and chorizo, and it was like getting struck by lightning. There's no way to describe it. And I knew. Like, again, it wasn't a belief. It wasn't a question. But I denied it. But I knew. And I couldn't come to terms with it and just own it.
Yeah.
And I still can't describe to this day what it is, but it was like, it was just like being born because I was.
Yeah.
And I was quiet and I didn't say anything. We sat down and, that was, going back to Michael. Again, you guys have a hard time following me. This is okay. This is how I normally talk. Don't worry about it. Last time, Michael comes out every, school break. He'd been coming out. He just recently graduated high school. So God's really looked after him.
Yeah.
He rewards the faithful.
That's right.
And I remember last time Michael came out and his voice that he says, we talk in a Michael voice, but it's not because we're being mean to him, but it's the way our dynamic works.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's like, I know you really don't like God, but I'm going to pray anyway. And, it was all these things that God was trying to show me throughout these years of for a mentally disabled child to challenge his father.
Mm-hmm.
That's courage. Especially somebody who's quick to anger. For him to say, you know what, I don't care. Those were his words, and Michael's very direct with things when he wants to be. A lot of times he'll be very try to beat around and hint towards things, but when it came to that, he'd he'd say, "Wow, yeah, those fruit snacks look pretty good."
Do you want some?
Yeah, they look pretty tasty. Sure would be nice to have some. Instead of just saying, "Can I have fruit snacks?" But that's the way he'll sit there for an hour, hinting at it, waiting for you to offer. He will never ask.
Yeah.
So that's the way Michael is. But he was outright gloves off, I don't care.
Yeah.
Whether you like this or not, I am going to pray before we eat. It's like, hey, if any man has that much conviction, who am I to stop him? Going with your bad self, Michael. And I reminded him of that. And I'm so proud of the man that he's come through Christ, to where he had that much spiritual fortitude to stand up to me. It was an example that I pray that I can follow every day. Because, to him, especially to a small child, your dad is the ultimate, right? And to somebody like Michael, no matter how terrible of a father I'd been, I'm always dad, and that's the end of that to him. And he's always going to see me as this figure. And so just understanding the magnitude of that situation and that moment in time where there's really, I have not seen a better example of true faith. And he held steadfast throughout it all, throughout everything that man, I say, man now, he's still my kid, but he's a man now.
Yeah.
And he's held his faith so strongly.
Yeah.
And I pray that I can be half the man that Michael is.
Yeah.
And but so anyway, going back to it, she would pray, and every once in a while I would, just to change things up, and it was still me trying to hopefully hear something. But it was more of just like, can we get this over with? I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Let me just say some words so I can eat.
Yeah.
And she prayed, and I don't even know if I took a bite of my food yet. But I remember feeling so shameful, but not shameful for understanding God, but shameful for not just saying it at that one moment in time. Like, I was so ashamed of myself. Like, just all of this sin and these lies and this life that I've been living. I felt naked. And I was truly vulnerable for the first time in my entire life. And I don't remember if I said I have a confession or if I have something I need to say. And she got really nervous just because the way our relationship had been before was, say, if I start crying and say I have a confession, something's wrong. And I could, there's so much apprehensive. You could have cut it with a knife in our house at that moment in time. And I said, God's real.
Yeah.
God is real. He showed himself to me. And
You said he's real and he's in my heart.
And he is. And that all of these great things that I thought were great, like my children, her, my career, promotions, like none of that even like holds a candle to the greatness of that moment in time.
Yeah.
You know, all the pain, the hatred, the anger is gone. It's gone. And you know, that being steadfast and if there's not a door, let's make one, right? And that's kind of like how I feel that God finally just had enough. He got tired of knocking. Yeah. I wasn't opening the doors. He just kicked it in. Like he just, all right, cool. You know what? I'm done. You don't want to open the door? I'll just make mine. And he stormed that gate with so much force.
Yeah.
And I'm never looking back. I can tell you that much right now.
It's like we talked about before, the one.
The one, yeah. I mean, God, you know, Jesus gives that verse, you know, he comes after the one. You know, it's amazing to think back over 20 years, like your faith is 20, you know, I mean, longer than that even, because God's been preparing you for so long by showing you all the ways that any other father could never mount up, right? And even you, like you went from this, you know, self-described wretched person to a moralist to something remade, you know, like I'm just want to be a good father and pay my bills, and you know, and this is that's an honorable thing to think, but comparison to God and him, and you know, so but 20 years of prayer, you know, and then all the prayers from Lauren and I know Michael and I was just thinking about, you know, in Hebrews 11 it talks about all these people in their faith. It goes through this amazing list of people in their faith. And he gets to the end and he says, what more shall I say? Time would fail me to talk about, and he names all these other people. But it says, through faith, they conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release, so that they might raise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging and even chains and imprisonment. And it goes on and on. But man, that just hit me as you were talking about your mom earlier, and you know, she's been praying for you, and of course Lauren's been praying for you. It's like women receive back the dead. And like, I can't imagine the joy that you know, you must feel and your mom must feel to have you in the place you're at now. Like it's like that, you know, the song Amazing Grace, right? Like I once was dead. I was lost, I was blind, I was dead. And it's by grace. Like, man, just that outpouring of grace is so amazing. Like
it was almost immediate too. I mean, even just like after he vomited all of that at breakfast, like I was silent, and it was immediate. Like the way he looked at me was different. The way he talked to me was different. The way he loved me was different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the power of God.
I mean, it says, you know, through Christ all things are possible, and again, I don't believe I know.
Right.
Like, I know that for a fact.
Yeah. There's a great.
I know that I know.
I know that I know.
That's how it is. After my moment, it was like, I know that I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I think it's such a perfect timing for God too, right? Because like I was listening. There's a guy. So our pastor's brother is a pastor in Baltimore, and he has a cool podcast called Inner Revolution. It's just kind of a men's podcast. Talks about the different like mindsets of men and the different kind of personas we wear. But he had a guest on there. I was listening the other day, and he said, "There's no probation period." This is what we as Christians tend to do. Like, okay, you're a believer now. Slow down. We got some classes for you to take, and then, right? We don't see that here. It was repent, be baptized, and be filled with the Holy Spirit, and now go. Like, actually, our pastor sent me a really cool article just on how Paul planted churches in the first century. And if we looked at that and we read that today, we say that's reckless. It's reckless. These people haven't been, you know, believers long enough, and they don't have the infrastructure they need to build a church. And I love that, you know, that you've come into this with just that idea that, like, I'm not on probation. Like, if I'm a child of God, I'm going to do the things that the child of God is called to do. And we see the fruit. And that's what's amazing, because Jesus says that and Paul says that. Look for the fruit. And if there's good fruit, then that's the evidence of the change. That's the evidence of the change, as you see the transformation, the way we talk, the way we love.
His conviction now, even like he's like, we will live for God.
Yeah.
Like our house will follow God,
Yeah.
and we will do what He says. You know,
And if not, well, we were talking the other day, and you know, the ocean as the water has always been a connection to me. I grew up in San Diego next to the beach, right? And you know, going back to that childhood thing, I had my aquarium that was taken away, so I wanted to fill that void as an adult. And she's tolerated me having aquariums forever, and we have a saltwater aquarium, and that became my God.
Right.
That became my release. Well, I can either go and have foreign relations with other people and drink, or I can focus on this. And that was her thing, is, well, I'd rather you have your aquarium than other women, so here it is. Mm-hmm. And you know, I always decided I wanted to try to make a business venture out of it. And finally she started to just, I guess it was kind of like this, might as well just go along with it, because this way I can still spend some time with him too, kind of like me with church with her, right? Like, yeah, fine, I'll go to church so I can spend time with you. The same thing. All right, I'll tolerate your aquarium so I can spend time with you. And you know, so we set up our little propagation system, and after this changing moment of mine, like after my life being changed, and actually, like, you know, I feel like that burning bush where God was, like, he reached down and touched me and just lit my heart on fire, and it's not going to come out. You know, I'm really trying hard to see that faith through like the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. You tell me to do it. You're my dad. I'm gonna listen.
what's next?
Without questioning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I believe that I have to surrender wholeheartedly, and whether it's an answer I want to hear or not doesn't matter.
Right.
And I know He's going to provide.
Yeah.
You know, it says so that, you know, faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. So why can't I?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
God allowed all of these things, which I'm glad for everything that happened. I wouldn't be the man of God I am today if He didn't allow me to suffer.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had to do. Otherwise, I would have been lukewarm.
Right.
Yeah.
And He would have spit me out, plain and simple. Like, I had to endure everything to be completely broken. And after that, it's okay. You know, Jesus rebuilt the temple in 3 days. Well, He's rebuilding me.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to take Him longer than 3 days. And He can do what He wants. But it was almost like instantaneously. And He's just continuing to build and build and build. And as I grow in my walk with Him, like, I felt like I've already been pruned a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was put in a situation the other night at work. I can't really describe the situation because
Sure.
federal law kind of prohibits that, but an opportunity where I've been in so many times. It's always been, oh, sorry, baby, your sunburn. Didn't mean to do that. I forgot.
It's okay.
But it's, all right, well, good luck. I'm out of here. All right, hey, let's go get something to eat. Or I just miss it. And people always like, how are you good at this? I'm like, because I don't care.
Right.
It's not my problem. It's not me. It's not me on the stretcher. It's not my family member. I don't care. I care about correcting the physiological problems that are happening, and that is it. It is a science, and that is it. That's it. But I was put in the opportunity. You look at all the social issues that are happening right now, and you get large crowds of people that are very emotionally distraught. It usually doesn't end well for an outsider walking into that crowd. It just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was to the point to where the cops were standing way back, and they were really getting nervous. And I went and I spoke to this person. It wasn't me speaking. It was the Holy Spirit speaking through me. And I was able to take her hands and pray with her and hold her. And this large crowd of people that was... Because I was going to leave. The fire department said, all right, we're done here. You can leave. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm tired. I've already been out here once for the situation. I got to pray for somebody. I'm tired. And, well, God had other plans.
Yeah.
So I turned around and I walked back and I walked through the crowd and I took that person's hands and I prayed with her, and then the whole crowd was full of the Spirit and everybody was praying together.
Wow.
And I gave her a hug and I explained to her, it's not for any of us to question God's plan. I'm terribly sorry for your situation, but God has bigger plans for you.
Yes.
And she cried and she said thank you. And that was it. That would have never happened. And I still pray for that woman.
Yeah.
The amount of pain she's feeling is unimaginable. But I hope she knows that God's with her.
Yeah. That's right.
And and she doesn't lose faith. And I pray that I don't get tested like that. But my whole perspective on things have changed.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing. It's people are going to believe what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to think what they want to think. But what I can tell you from my own knowledge is, if you don't surrender at all, like why even live?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point in being here if you're not going to lay everything down? And I actually enjoy these conversations now.
Yeah.
Right, because it's a knowledge, and it's our duty to share with people. And I'm not so much as like an evangelistic person where I want to go I want to go grab everybody and just have you heard the good news and just keep going. And it's easy for me to do that to strangers because they don't know me.
Right.
They just see, wow, here's this person who's saying God bless you, and he looks happy, and he looks like a criminal, but he's telling me that God is good, and then they're cool with that, and their day is brighter. But the people that have known me for years, I can't just tell them, hey, man, I believe in God. Because I can tell you the answer what I'm going to get is, yeah, okay, that's not cool, man. Like, don't put down my faith.
Right.
So I feel that my actions have to dictate first. And that's what's the prayer that's been called upon me to do is I asked God, I was trying to explain, I was trying to witness to my partner, and every time something changed. There was always an interrupting factor. It's like, okay, not my will, but yours.
Yeah.
Use me as your tool and stop letting me interrupt you. Because I'm trying to put my will in here and it's not going to work. So just you do what you do and let me listen. Open my heart, open my ears, and let me hear you. Let me listen to you. And this bracelet right here, what would Jesus do? She ordered some off Amazon the other day. And we all got them, and I put it on, and my partner asked me, he's like, hey, where'd you get that What Would Jesus Do bracelet? I was like, all right. And I was like, because, before when he asked, like, what'd you do? You go to church? He's like, yeah, man, Lauren's really getting into that stuff, isn't she?
Yeah.
And then right when I was about to say something, tones went off. Didn't get to. I was like, why? Come on, man. Just let me talk to him about this. Stop doing this to me. It's not cool. You know, and so I just, again, you're right. It's not my will, it's yours. So she got these, and he asked. And I was like, and he's like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, it is cool. You know why? Because it's a reminder of me every day to walk through Christ. And it's, what? And so I just shared a very brief testimony, and I was like, look, man, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to tell it, but God's alive, and he's filled my heart with joy. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that we were able to have this conversation. I was like, as a matter of fact, we've got some more. He's like, yeah, I would love one.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I don't know where it's to go from there. Again, it's not in my control, but he's been watching the witness of what I'm doing. You know, I prayed for somebody the other day in front of him, and he's just kind of taken back. Like, what is going on? You know, he's kind of squirrely at times. Like, I love Tony to death. So if you ever watch this, man, just so you know, like, I love you, dude. But we all know. and he's a really good man, and I know that there's a calling on him. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
And so I pray that I can be the example. And again, if I tell people who've known me for the last 5 years, my coworkers, they're just gonna either one, be offended, or two, laugh it off. Mm-hmm. And that's not gonna do any good, because that's gonna close doors. And my job is to rip the doors off.
That's right.
Like, that's what God told me to do: tear them off, kick them open. But it has to be His way, not mine.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm really thankful for this. And, you know, it took me back from when I was like 13 years old. You know, everybody wore these things, and it was really cool back then. And, man, it's the coolest thing I have. And I wear it here in my left hand, because even though I wear my watch at work, I'm always checking my watch. I'm always writing stuff down. And now that I feel that I have something on here, it's habit. It's not my watch, but all right.
Yeah.
It's a reminder. Make sure I continue my walk that He's called me to do. And so hopefully, if any of my peers see this, like, whenever this gets uploaded, that this can be an example for everybody to know that, like, this is my profession of faith. That God is real, and He's alive, and He's changed my life in more ways than I can describe, and He's not even close to done yet.
Yeah.
You know, for years, she's asked when I was going to ask her to get married. And we've lived as husband and wife for a while. You know, the whole moral thing, right? I'm a good man. No, I'm not. At least I wasn't.
Right.
But, you know, wear a wedding ring, because I've chosen to dedicate myself to her, even before Christ. I'm dedicated to you, and this is my reminder of that. And I told her, it's like, I will marry you, but not until it's right. I don't believe in this 50% plus 50% now equals one whole person. That's no. Like, I like 200% over one. It just seems, 200 is better than 100. So until you're where you need to be, until where I need to be, this cannot be.
Yeah.
Right? This, for the both of us, this would be our third marriage, and it's gonna be the last. Third time's the charm, right? So they say. And I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
Just not. And I needed reassurance that this was going to be. And for me, and I still feel this way, and I did, was I'm not going to ask you until I feel I am everything that I can give you. And I still have a lot of work to do. I am not good enough to be your husband yet. You are not good enough to be my wife. And until we are, this will never happen. And I was okay with that. And then she went through her transformation and, again, continued to be this example. And there is no void anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hole to fill. Like, it's overspilling, like, this joy that God has given me. That it's, I've been, starting. God told me, start at the beginning, so that way I can have some understanding. And very, very early in the beginning of the book, like, faith was already tested.
Mm-hmm.
Noah's Ark. Like, I can, which is crazy, because I can get behind the fact that God made the world in 6 days and then took a break. Right? But there goes that whole evolutionary aspect that we had debated about, and debating is probably a nice way of putting it. In the beginning, there was nothing. There was darkness. And then He created this, right? And the whole primordial soup that everything came from. And that's easy to believe. right? Then it came to Noah's Ark. And that's where my faith kind of started to get, I wouldn't say shook, but it was a question. I'm like, all right. So, again, I'm not the world's greatest mathematician, but according to the Bible, the ark was about 600 feet. There's plenty of vessels bigger than 600 feet. And you want to tell me that you can fit 2 of every animal on a 600-foot vessel? You're crazy. And it was really bothering me. I'm like, man, how can I say that I believe and that I love God, but I'm questioning his word? Well, he tells you to. He wants us to. That's how you prune. That's how you get stronger. Question it, because he's got the answer. Mm-hmm. And it was really simple, right? Like, it seems like a lot of people, we all focus on the New Testament, right? Because it's the good news. It's the great news, right? Hey, we were saved. It's fantastic. But you got to understand your history and the foundation that the house is built upon, in my opinion. However God tells you to read, please follow him, not my words. But I've seen 3-day-old dead bodies. They don't come back. They smell awful. There's flies on them. Like, 3-day-old bodies don't come back to life. So if I can believe that a 3-day-old body can rise again, pure and flawless, why in the hell can't he build a boat big enough and put everything on it?
Right.
Yeah.
Where's the question? Why is the question there?
Right.
Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Because God said it did. And that's that. And that's my peace with it.
Yeah.
If, everybody else has struggles with that concept, like I pray that you find a way that God can show you, let the Holy Spirit live through you and understand what he's trying to tell you through that message. Right? My interpretation of the Bible is different than everybody else's in here. I promise you. Like, I might even be called a heretic by most modern day religious leaders because of my interpretation of what the word tells me. But that's the way God presents it so that I can understand it. Mm-hmm. Right? This book was, the first several books of the Bible were written by Moses. We don't even have a calendar year on time of how long it's been since these tales have been passed down. All right? This book is potentially millions of years old. We have no idea. Some PhD out of nowhere will probably come argue with me about this later on, but that's all right. But, my question, the dinosaurs, where'd they come from? Right? I loved dinosaurs as a kid. Well, we, as modern day science, kind of see that dinosaurs evolved into birds. I believe it was day 4, wasn't it? When first it was he built all the sea creatures and all of the crawling things, and then he built the livestock and all of the birds. Yeah. Okay, so again, like God's time versus man's time. Well, there you have it. That's the dinosaurs, and that's how it was. That's how the word was presented to me, so that I could have my understanding, and I can have that question that I've been wanting to know.
Yeah.
So, and it Genesis. It's a long, hard read. It is. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Putting you to sleep.
No.
But
So back to marriage.
yeah, that's right. I know. Again, sorry guys.
No, you were on that. You were saying something.
Right. So it's in Genesis with that, right? God tells man to take his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why?
So I can't live in like this fake world where you're half in or half out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
either do this or don't.
That's good.
Make her your wife or set her free. And I love her, so she's here to stay. So that's where that came from. And again, like, sorry, I tend to go off over tangents.
I come in with the what are they called?
Nunchucks.
But, and it was a calling on my heart that we were just laying down, and so I just asked her if she would marry me and be my wife and live the rest of our days together, serving God together, because when 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am here. Mm-hmm. So now we're constantly gathered in his name. God will always be in our house.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome. One of the things I want to do before we close out is I want to I want to read a verse. But two, I want to give you guys an opportunity to just talk about your business and let people know how they can get a hold of you. But at the end of the book of Joshua, he's talking to the people, and they're preparing to, they've been on this campaign and obtaining the land that God's giving them. And he says this, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen the Lord to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. He said, then put away the foreign gods that are among you and incline your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel. And the people said to Joshua, the Lord our God we will serve, and his voice will obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and put in place statutes and rules for them. And Joshua wrote these words in a book of law. Let me see. Fear the Lord, serve him sincerely. Sorry, I lost my place. I know where the verse is.
That's partially my doing, I'm sure.
But no, it wasn't you. Anyway, he says, for it is the Lord our God who brought us. And he tells them, he says, you're not able to serve the Lord, a holy God. He is jealous. He will not, if you forsake and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do harm and consume you. That's not it. Anyway, what he says, choose today who you'll serve, but as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. I should know the verse off the top of my head, and everybody's going to probably crucify me for that. But as for me and my house, it is. As for it's on our wall. I was joking with our pastor this morning, like, we know a lot of verses. We need Google Maps to help us get there. But no, just that's so sweet, because it's just, that's the heart I hear, is like, do what you're going to do, but as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And that's leading into your business, because this is something that was already kind of in the works before all this transformation took place. And now it's like, there's just this heart of, I don't know how, I don't know in what way, but somehow this is going to serve God. So if you would just tell everybody, like, what your business is, the name of it, how they can find you on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're all at, and websites, and then an email address if you want, and then just kind of what the business is and kind of your philosophy in it.
All right, so our company is called E&L Aquatics, which Ethan and Lauren, which we decided to start a while back. Yeah. Again, like my love for the aquatic animals and corals specifically. Hey, we can grow it. Why not sell it? Maybe it can pay for this expensive hobby that I have that I've been dumping a bunch of money in, that we probably could have paid off our mortgage. But and she was okay with it, because it was time spent with a family.
Yeah. And
let's build this on a foundation of each other, right? Let's do something together. That was me trying to be moral, right? And then after God hit me with a frying pan, it was, I need to do this, right? There's a reason why, for one, she's tolerated it for so long. And two, there's a reason why this has been a big part of my life. Mm-hmm. It has to be, right? I mean, I get things happen, but, good things happen too. It's not just bad. Right. And I figure it's a smaller community, but it's a community in its own, that people spend their entire lives on forums talking about the ideal pH and salinity of the water and what's the best trace elements to use and flow patterns, and we can go on for days on this. Yeah. She knows. Years even, she knows, right? So there's a lot of very passionate people that are a lot of debate in it onto what's the best thing, right? So this is a market that I can reach. This is a group of people that I'm involved with, and why not use this forum that can touch, several people, and even then, even if it's just one, it's start there and let them continue on the work. But this is a business that we're trying to start. So without talking to my partner here, I kind of took it on myself to say that we're going to start taking, I don't know how much money or how much percentage yet, that is yet to be determined. God's going to tell us, but we're going to start to feed homeless people with the profits that we make from it. And again, like, as a man, I despise homeless people. Just being honest, like I can't stand them. That's changing. My heart is changing.
Right.
Especially the group of population that I see all the time. And God's really put a calling on my heart to change that. They're a child of God. Like they're His creatures too, just like I am, just like you are. And their situation isn't for mine to determine nor question. It doesn't matter, right? So I like to cook too. I didn't get fat from not like and eat food that tastes good. So I feel like I have this calling that we need to. I need to make them good food, right? Not just our leftovers. The can of lima beans in the back of your closet that you drop off of the food drive to say I did something righteous today. No, I'll eat the lima beans, and they can have something good just to let them know that like no, God does love you and you are cared for. And food is a necessity that we all have. So to me, I think you can reach so much more people through that act of servitude, of me serving you something that is more than what you think you're worth. Because you are worth it. Because God made you. So that's kind of where that came from. And so now that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to fragment these corals in an aquacultural safe way without destroying the natural reefs. For one, that we're growing them at home in our box of water, so we're not destroying the natural environment in the process. And then we're taking that and we're trying to use that to get money to go ahead and to help those that are nowhere near as fortunate as we are.
Yeah.
And so Lauren's in charge of that's my department. Everything else she does.
Okay,
So
we're
how can they
on,
get a hold of you?
Yeah, we're on TikTok and Facebook, and it's just E&L Aquatics.
Okay.
Say
E&L Aquatics.
Okay.
And the email address is quite literally enlaquatics@gmail.
Okay.
So any of those ways you can get a hold of us. We obviously sell coral. There's a couple products we've got in mind to start selling, and we're just going to see where God takes it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
sounds good.
Well, yeah. Just encourage, if you can to get involved with Ethan and Lauren and what they're doing, or if you know somebody, definitely share their contact with them. And so that was great, guys. Like that was a really, really awesome just time. So this will be coming out probably over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Like we're just going to release it a little bit at a time. But we really hope that not even hope, like if this didn't bless you, if this didn't like stir you and maybe and kind of stoke those coals a little bit, like check your heart, because this is just, this is real, this is authentic, this is the gospel at work. Not just Ethan coming, but now the transformation and the sharing. So we love you guys. We're so blessed to have you guys close to us, and just we have a vision for our community out here, just this community that we live in out here, and it's just so nice to have brothers in arms that now we can just continue to pray for this community, continue to reach out to our neighbors. So, anything you want to say before we close out?
No, I've just been blessed to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So.
It's
Yeah.
been good.
Any final words?
Yeah, just if you have that question, and I'm gonna ask you the same question that Billy asked me, does it matter?
Amen.
I can tell you the answer is no, but that's up for you to decide. But like, it just doesn't matter. Just listen to him. Keep your heart open and just listen.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for listening. God bless you. We love you guys, and don't forget to subscribe and share with all your friends. See you next time.